Exporting. So right, I'm now at the position where I can export my game. I've got rid of the chicken. I kept the player as it was, and I think I did. Let's have a look. Yeah, I did keep the danger sign. I think that's pretty much all I kept from what I was using previously. So exporting's an easy process. But there are a couple of things to consider, and the process of exporting basically makes it so you don't have to have Unity to be able to open up and play a game. You can actually open it up with what is exported and you can give that to other people. You could potentially put it up on Steam and make millions and millions of pounds. Fingers crossed anyway. And the easiest way to export is just go to File, Build and Run. It will say, well, where do you want your game to be saved into? So I've got this folder set up, which I'm going to put a new folder in called Chicken Dash, and it's going to be V1, because I know there's going to be a few we're going to be doing in this video. And when I select that folder, it takes a few seconds, but once it actually builds the game, then eventually we'll run it. Now, yours might take a little bit longer because my game's quite simple. There's not a great deal of day-to-day, and it loads up. But as you can see, my text is tiny, so I need to fix that. And that's one of the things we're going to look at. Now you'll see on my game over screen, but I've already fixed it. Otherwise, this would be a tiny little game over in the middle of the screen there. And the way to fix it is quite straightforward, actually. If we go up to Canvas, and the canvas is already selected, in fact, I've clicked on it there. And you'll see on the canvas scaler, you've got constant pixel size. If you change that to scale with screen size, then the text should kind of automatically kind of go to the right size then. And the only other thing I actually need to do as well, just to make sure, you probably have to do this as well. If I double click on my canvas so we can see our score labels and so on here, when I click on them, if you actually click on them here and click on stretch down in the corner, and I'll have to do this for all of them. I'm doing them individually because I don't think it actually works if I highlight them and do them all at the same time. And we do the same for this guy here. And hopefully this time now, when I go to File and I go to Build and Run, and it'll say, do you want to save what you've changed? Yes, I want to save what I've just done. It'll again ask me, where do you want this to go? And in fact, I'm not sure if it overwrites the game I just exported. Well, we find out now. Oh, that's better. Look. So my lives and score are up in the corners, more or less. Now, if you are not happy with where they currently are, then you will need to do a little bit of adjustments with these guys here. So you can actually click on them and move them around like you normally would as well. Now, in terms of exporting the game, so this is Chicken Dash version 1. I think then that's the one we just exported. So if you want people to play a game, you can't just give them the application. You have to give them everything which was within this folder. So you might have to be zipping this folder up, so Chicken Dash version 1 there, for people to be able to kind of have everything with it. And you'll need to do that when you hand in your assignment as well. But if I double click on Chicken Dash 2 here, and let's see if it loads up correctly. So it did overwrite the first one then, great. I didn't think it would, so I'm gonna have to let myself die. And this is a max on my screen, so I can't actually exit out. And that's the way you want a game to be anyway, isn't it? Right, a couple of things to point out. That's the icon which comes with it. For me, that's not really anything to do with Chicken Dash. So we are going to look at some of the settings to be able to make things a little bit more professional in some ways. So you might have noticed when you go to File and Build Settings, so you can do Build and Run there. I have actually got a start screen, which I made before this video, and I will need to push that to the front because at the moment my game literally just starts straight away. So if I chuck it up there, why can't I drag that down? That's hard work. There we go then. So basically what will happen is it will always kind of play the scene which is at the top of that list. And within all this stuff here, you've also got player settings. On player settings, I'm going to look first of all at, and there's loads of things you can go looking through if you want. By all means, you can, but I'm just going to concentrate on the icon side of things. So it says there, what do you want your default icon to be? And I've got a chicken already in my assets, and I want that to be the icon for my game. That would actually be a good one as well. But if I just double click on that, and you can see what it looks like at different pixel sizes, and we'll have a look what that does in a moment. Hi, Future Rob here. Something past Rob doesn't do a very good job of in the next part of the video, so I'm going to do it for him, is talking about the resolution and presentation. So this is where you get to choose whether or not your game, when it exports, is going to be full screen, so you can't see the taskbar, you can't see like the maximize, minimize options up in the top right hand corner, or you can actually choose your game to be windowed, so if it fits into a particular size. Now, a little bit deceiving. You actually kind of think, oh, I can choose here how wide and how high that window's going to be. But no matter what you put in here, it will always try to scale it into like a 16:9 ratio. So something I just want to point out as well. On my game, I built everything in free aspect because I thought, oh, that looks cool like that. But really, I should have built everything in 16:9 ratio. And the issue is now when I go to 16:9 ratio, and if I export my game full screen or not, things will go all over the place like this. So I mistakenly built the game as free aspect. Now, if you've actually built your game so it is in 16:9 aspect ratio, then great, export your game as full screen and there won't be any issues at all. However, if you've done it like me and you've done it as free aspect, and in fact, I'd rather it wider like this, then gonna have to export it as a windowed game in order to be able to see the things you want to see. Now, the issue is you kind of want to work out what size this free aspect window is. So you could kind of like take a screenshot of it, pop it in a graphics package, work out what the width and height is, or through code. And what I've done, I've actually added a empty game object. So clicked on create empty there, and game object appears there then. And I've added a bit of script to it, which is force window size. So the script looks like this. Now, the force window part of it is this the line here which got commented out because that's the size I actually want my game to be in a window. But I need to work out first of all what size it is and then scale it up. So that's what this bit is here. So I'm just going to run this code. So we'll get something in the console telling us what the width and height is. I'll comment this out and then we'll kind of adjust these bits at the top here so we can actually export our game into a window size. So back on the game, if I just press play, down here in the corner, and you can see I've already done this once, it's got it already there for us, but it will tell us what the size of this free aspect ratio is. So it's saying it's 730 width by 302 in height, and it also shows us there on the console as well. And the idea would be then you would scale that up. So let me just comment these bits out before I forget to. And in fact, I could probably delete these lines. The idea would be in this avoid awake bit, you would scale it up so they would fit into these numbers here for width and height. And it, like I said, basically this is a line of code where when I export my game, it will force it to be this size here. Now I don't know where I got those numbers from because they don't fit into 703 and 302, but there's obviously a reason I've done that. So if I just press save and I come back onto Unity and let it do what it's got to do. It shouldn't take too long to compile that really. But if I go back up to File and Build Settings, and I come down onto Player Settings again, where I kind of left you a few moments ago, I'm going to make sure it's windowed. It doesn't actually matter what I type in here at this point because they're not going to work in that respect. But the other thing I wanted to point out a little bit further down here, I've you might have resizable window as ticked, but I've unticked it because I want them to actually be able to play the game and it's kind of like stuck on a particular size on screen. And the game, when I export it like this with it windowed with that line of code set up as well, it actually looks like this here. So I can play the game and it's forced into this window size. You can see that the icon's up the top and left hand corner, but I can't actually resize the window. I can minimize it, I can delete, and I can close it. That's literally my options which I've got set up there. So back to past, Rob. He'll talk to you about the splash image. Splash image. So if I just move these down out of the way a second, if I press preview, that's the splash image. So that's what we saw at the beginning of our game. Now, if you don't actually like the color of that, if you want it to be dark on light, and we press preview again, you'll see that it actually does it the other way around. So you can mess around with those. And dolly is basically the animation. Now, if you actually click static, it just basically means that it doesn't slowly come towards the screen. That's what the dolly side of things. That's what it's called. I don't know why it's called that. And there are bits and pieces as well. You can actually do your own logo at the front if you want to play around with that. And there are other settings a bit further down. But for the time being, actually, I'm quite happy with that. So I don't need to change anything on here. But if I now go to build and run, which is down in the corner, and it will say again, do you want to overwrite this data? And in fact, it's actually giving me, actually, do you know what would make more sense? If I just press, if I cancel that out, and if I go to file and build and run again, this is a quick way of doing it. And I just want to see if it kind of does the icon for us, because we know the game will work. It'll run hopefully with my start screen once it's done this little animation. Yay, so there's my start screen, look. So I can quit, and I know the quit works because if I press quit, it kicks me off. But now I start the game, everything's in the right place, and I can win the game when I get to the end as well. And when I quit that out, and if you go and have a look at the folder, oh, it didn't update there. Oh, I was hoping it would have updated the icon. So I might have to go back through again and do what I just did. So back on build settings, player settings, the icon is there. So if I just go down to build and run, and I think maybe it's because this is going to look a little bit different. So if I do a new folder and call it Chicken Dash version 2, and in there we select the folder, we let it export, and it shouldn't take much longer than last time because we've not really done anything different, have we? So the game will play. I don't know why I press build and run because I don't actually want to play the game. So I'm actually going to quit this straight away. So see, my quit button works. But this time, when I go into that folder, Chicken Dash version 2, there's my icon, look. And if your game wasn't full screen, it'd appear here as an icon down there. And it would also appear there as an icon up in the top left on corner in the window which appears. So basically, that's how you export your game. Now, the rest of this playlist, I might add things in like animating characters and bits and pieces like that. But at this point, it's really as far as you need to get in terms of the assignment work you've got to do for your coursework or the assignment work you've got to do for Unit 8.